So, my experience, right, with gender identity, right? You know, I grew up in a toxic environment, right? It wasn't just toxic because of the abuse I suffered of, SA abuse and then like being prostituted. It was also the psychological abuse, and that usually is what starts before the other stuff happens, and then they both kind of conjoin together and create a whole, yeah, we're gonna do this, And for me, I never, my mom specifically always put me in a position where I was, though, like when I did work, I was accosted to like pay for food or for the family because my dad didn't pay for the food for us. And I would financially provide for my mom too, to provide food because my dad didn't pay, like he didn't feed us. So like if I went out and I bought food for myself, my mom would expect me to get her food or pay for food for all of us. Or and she also emotionally depended on me to just tell me all of her stuff, which would have been the job of her actual husband. But so she basically put me in the position that my dad should have been in. So, and then, hmm, and then my mom also was very codependent, and she would she would also try to get me to wear like pink. Like she had an obsession with buying me things that were pink, and I never like told her I liked pink, never alluded that that was something I enjoyed. She just constantly bought me pink things when I was a kid, and I always hated pink, and I hated that she always tried to like try to, whatever she liked, she would try to force me to like too. And I never liked that. It's like I couldn't have my own identity separate than my mother. And yeah, I didn't like pink. And she always used to tell me, I was sitting not appropriate for a lady, or not I was liking stuff that wasn't okay for girls to like. Um I think at that time, because I had DID, and because DID starts at such a young age, they all had different colors that they liked, and they never could express what color they liked because my mom always wanted me to just like what she liked. So that really became a part of me also resisting my mom, because and being girly, because I didn't want to be codependent, and she clearly wanted to, and I just didn't want to do that. But I kind of had to because I didn't really have a choice. You're like 5, 6, 7. You got to go along with it. It's not like somebody's gonna come and like be like, oh no, that child's hurt or something. And let's see. Oh yeah, when I went to school too, like elementary school, I used to be accosted by the boys a lot, and I guess you could say it's bullying, but I don't really see it as bullying. I just like, I remember I was like drawing a picture, and this boy, I drew like this girl, and she had earrings on, and she was pretty, and he was like, "Oh, your picture is prettier than you are," and I was like, okay. And I just remember that. I also remember that people would make fun of me and tell me that I was black and I looked like a man a lot, and they would sometimes And then when I got older too, specifically probably, I don't know, like the last 4 years maybe, people have. I remember one time I was in the bathroom, right? I was in the women's bathroom, right? And this lady looked at me like I wasn't supposed to be in the bathroom. And I looked at her because I thought she was a dude too. And we looked at each other, and like she judged me thinking I'm a guy, and I thought she was a guy too. Or like people have not like held the door open for me because they thought I was a man. And then like this lady literally walked through the door, kept staring at me, and then closed the door in my face, and then kept staring at me and walked away. So, and then there's been times like I've literally been with like my husband or other guys, and people have thought I'm a man, and I'm like, I'm not a dude. So, um, being inclusive has actually kind of gotten me mistaken for a man multiple times. So, yeah. But also, it's also saved me because sometimes people in Florida thought I was a guy when I was walking at night, and like dudes were dapping me up, and I was like, like not in like a yay, I'm a guy, but like yay isn't like don't hurt me. So those times I was like, okay, but like in general, it used to bother me a lot that people thought I was a guy sometimes. Now I don't really get it. I still don't really get it because I think I look like a female. And I've had multiple hairstyles. At one time I had short hair, and it was cut. Um, and then when I was a kid, I had like my natural hair just permed. So I don't know. But specifically, I struggled a lot with my gender identity too. Like when I hit puberty, it was awful. I started really young, and it just felt like everyone fixated on every aspect of puberty, and I was already being abused. So it's like my dad became more clingy. My mom started calling me names that you don't call a kid who's being abused by the people in your household or in general. They She just told me I was promiscuous, but I wasn't. I was a child. I started puberty at like 8, 9. I was 9. So, and then like public education was awful. Like they didn't tell you anything except that you're going to menstruate. They don't talk about how painful it is to actually grow. They don't talk about how, you know, boys and girls sometimes will fixate on you or target you, because I've been targeted by women and men. And yeah, they didn't talk about puberty, and I just didn't like puberty. I felt like I wanted to stay a kid, and I never felt like I had an opportunity to be a kid because my father, ruined that at a very young age. And when I started going to puberty, I just felt like I wanted everything to I just wanted to be I wanted to look like a little kid still, and I didn't have that opportunity, and I was upset. So that fed into my gender issues as well. And then when I when I had DID, I had some personalities that were male. There was one that was like a protector and more sporty, and he would skateboard, and he was asexual. And then there was another, and he was also like a sibling to some of the other people inside of the system, as well as to the little kids. He was like a father figure, but he wasn't like a dad. He was seen like a father figure that was like a sibling. And then I know this all sounds so complex because it definitely was. It was very tiring to them and to me as an outsider. But, and then I had another personality that was a man, and he was like a physical protector, and he would fight people if they messed with me. And their name was Mose. Like Mose from Dunder Mifflin, the guy that would be like running all the time. That's where they got their name. And then the other one was, I wrote it down somewhere. I'm probably gonna talk about that anyway, but those were two of them. And then I had a 3-year-old that was a boy too, and he felt like he was the protector of like the little kid personalities, because when I was younger I didn't feel like girls could do the same thing as boys could, because I wanted to go fishing. I wanted to be an electrician at one time. I wanted to learn how to be a mechanic, and I was talked out of all of those things. Also, I asked my parents. I was like, I want to be mayor, and they were like, no, you're a girl, you can't do that. So yeah, all those things fed into me having gender issues. And a lot of times when I actually, like, when my separate personalities dealt with the gender issues, they actually turned to females, and then the other personalities only could remember them. They could remember the personality and the experience they had with the male ones, but then when they turned to female, they couldn't remember as much that they were male. So it was interesting. But yeah, once I started dealing with why I felt that way, and breaking when they started individually dealing with all the reasons that they felt like they had to be male and not female, and they felt like they were just unsafe and insecure about it, they actually became confident. And from, you know, dealing with that stuff, then they felt better and they became women. So then they were all women at the last point. And then once they dealt with a lot of the other things, they started to disappear. So, yay to being solo. But yeah, this is the gender identity thing video, and I didn't want to really show my mug, but I did. But it's okay. So have a great day.